let's get ourselves started here. I am Mary Beth Harrison with the Dallas Native team, and today I want to talk about the market, the housing market in general. This is probably one of the craziest markets I've ever been a part of, and I've been doing this for a really long time. I have been here when we couldn't sell a house. We were happy if it sold in 6 months. I have been around when it was just a very equal market. Neither buyer nor seller had any advantage. It was just kind of an equal market. And that happens when we have about a 6-month supply of housing. That is surely not the case right now. We are down over 60% in the number of homes for sale than we usually have on the market, which flips this around to be very much a seller market. It's simply a supply and demand issue. I mean, it's that simple. It's not like it's rocket science. If there's not enough of something and a whole lot of people want it, it's like that favorite toy at Christmas. I mean, you're not going to get it at a sale price or a bargain because one, they don't have enough of it, but two, everyone wants it. And it's the same thing with the housing market right now. I don't care if it's a condo, a townhome, a home, land, it doesn't really seem to matter right now. There's just a supply and demand issue. And I know the question is, well, why? What happened here? Well, let's back up to the pandemic. That did cause a little bit of the problem, but believe it or not, that was not the problem. We had a pretty steady market going on during the pandemic. Yes, it slowed down a little bit, of course, because people weren't getting out and doing all that as much, but that didn't seem to be the problem, although it was a catalyst. It was a beginning of kind of seeing this happening. But it was actually kind of starting to happen even before that. But what we're seeing as a bigger picture is the baby boomers, which was the largest generation, are living longer, which is a good thing. And they're staying in their homes longer. They're able to live independently much longer than in the past. So it's not freeing up that inventory of that buyer or that seller who is selling, whether their home is in need of updating or whether it's been updated, irrelevant. They aren't moving. So we have a very large population that's not freeing up that inventory. The flip side of that is we are sitting in the middle of the largest generation that we have seen going on right now. So as far as this generation being in the house buying market, that 28 to 34 age range, there are 32 million in that age grade. And they're looking for houses. They're tired of living in apartments. The world has changed. They can work at home now, so they need more space. They need to live in their homes a little differently. And so it's churned up more people than we have freeing up houses. Let's add to that. So we have baby boomers that aren't moving. We have sellers who would love to sell their home. Yes, their home is worth more than it was ever worth before, but where are they going to go? So they're in that quandary of, if we sell, are we going to be able to find something? Are we going to be able to find something in time? Are we going to have to move twice? Are we going to have to go into a rental? So many questions. I'm going to address that in just a little bit because we have solutions to that. Now let's jump to the biggest culprit of all, and that's new construction. Back in about 2008 to 2010, when the economy went so awry, builders decided that they would quit building so much speculative housing, meaning housing that was just going to sit there and wait and hope a buyer showed up to buy it. They were going to build as needed. That was going to be more of their game plan. Well, the flip side of that is during this same time, many builders went out of business. So they aren't even around anymore. So we don't even have the number of big builders. When I say big builders building big subdivisions, that number has gotten smaller than it was back then. So now we have a second problem here. So this is going to be a staggering number. It was to me. We are 4 million million new construction houses down from where we need to be. That's a lot. Now I'm talking nationwide. So I'm getting out of Dallas right now, or getting out of the DFW area right now. But 4 million houses, oh my, that is a lot of housing that's no longer available. So since 2010, we've just watched those numbers just go down and down and down to where now we're sitting at a crisis of not having enough new construction. So now we don't have the baby boomers moving as fast. We have the largest population ever of home buyers sitting out there, and we're down 4 million in new construction. You can see where we're starting to backlog here, can't you? You can start to see why the inventory issue is happening. So there's a lot of logic for it. There's a lot of reason. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it any easier for us, but that is what's happening right now. So yeah, we've seen new construction go down 25% each year since 2010. So that's a lot. That's a big rates. Of course, interest rates were at an all-time low, and they're still low. I know everyone's getting a little panicked that we're starting to see those interest rates go up, and they are. And they've made it very clear they're going to continue to go up. But really, anything under a 6-8% interest rate is really a great loan. We've just been spoiled rotten, that's all. We've just been listening to 2 and 3%. And so it's kind of hard for us to start to hear that 4 and then that 5% and higher. It definitely changes your buying power. There is no doubt. So what you were able to buy at a 2.5% interest has now gone down. So maybe you were able to afford, say, a $500,000 house in that 2% range of interest. That's now dropped down to maybe 400, maybe 350 as those rates start to rise. So your buying power, assuming everything stayed the same in your income, your work, if your life stayed the same, as interest rates go up, your buying power definitely starts to go down. The amount of, down payment stayed the same, but your monthly payment is what's changing. However, rents are going up, and they're going up monthly. So every time your lease comes up for renewal, I guarantee you they're raising your rate. So when you think about it, wouldn't it be good to have a steady, you know what it's going to be, mortgage payment, instead of rents going up every month? And quite frankly, you're paying someone else's mortgage. That's what it comes down to. Someone owns that property that you're living in, whether you live in a high rise, whether you live in an apartment complex, or whether you live in someone's home, you're paying someone's mortgage. That's just the way it is. So why not pay your own mortgage, right? Some of you guys have saved a lot of money to put down, which is wonderful. I mean, that's what you want to strive for, is just start saving that money to be able to put money down. But the flip side of that is that buying a home right now is often going over the asking price. So let's talk about what that looks like, because so many of you all ask me, my buyers that I'm out with ask me all the time, what should we offer? That's not really the question right now. The question is, how much money do you have to put towards this project? Let's talk about that. So let's say you buy a $100,000 house. Not that there is one out there to buy, but let's just say you're able to find a $100,000 house and you put down 10%. So $10,000. Let's just make our numbers easy for a second. But you had to put a contract in at $125,000 to buy the house to win the contract, right? And there's an appraisal clause saying, hey, I agreed to pay this, and I'm going to pay it regardless of what the lender says the house is worth. So let's say the house is only worth $100,000. So you need to come up with the $10,000 down payment plus the $25,000 that you went over the appraised value. Do you have $35,000 additional money to throw at this? That's the question, guys. Really, That's the question. How much extra money do you have should the house not appraise? And should you want to keep moving forward with the sale? So it almost doesn't matter what I think or what the comps are showing right now, because each sale is driving those prices up exponentially with every single sale. And that's really hard for our first time home buyers. And I know that. I know this is an incredibly frustrating market for you, incredibly. And it is for us as agents as well, because it breaks our heart for you to fall in love with a house and you not be able to get it. I mean, I totally understand. You know, you've done all the right things. You went over asking price. You gave them the lease back that they wanted. You've done all the right things and you're still not winning the contract. So, I mean, some of my buyers are into 8, 9 offers before we get a house. And I do understand how frustrating that is, but understand it is for us too. We're having to show more houses. We're having to spend more time, write offers that don't get accepted. So it's happening on both sides of this. Let's put our seller hat on for a second. I mean, they're receiving 10, 12, 20 offers sometimes, and that's not easy either. It's like, which one, it's like tossing a coin, you know, which one do you take? Even the one that you think is going to be problem-free because it's a cash offer and closing when you want and all of those things, oftentimes those don't exactly go as smoothly as you think they're going to. So there's two sides to this issue right now. Certainly the sellers have it a lot easier than the buyers, but there's two sides to that. Moving on with what is causing some of this ridiculousness of lack of inventory is our population migration. Face it, Texas is a great place to come to. It's, you know, we don't have a personal or state income tax. Yes, our property taxes are higher than where maybe you've come from, but we got to get our money from somewhere. I mean, come on, we got to keep our roads and schools going. So you can't really complain too much about that. However, we're all starting to get our tax bills right now, our property tax bills. And some, I know Collin County just announced, I think, that they were seeing raising 28 to 30%. That's, wow, that's going to change. That's going to change a lot for people. So, you know, as prices rise, so are your taxes. And so we're going to see a lot of that coming out in the next couple of weeks as we all start to get our property tax bill for 2020, 2021. So we pay backwards, right? We pay, I mean, for 20, yeah. We'll start to see how that, actually, sorry, our evaluation, not our bills, sorry, our evaluation, what the taxing authorities think our homes are worth for the 2022 payment, which will be due in the end of December, end of January. So this is your opportunity, homeowners, to go fight that. So if you think that your taxes are too high when you get that evaluation, you have the right to protest that. So give us a call and I'll look and see if the numbers, if I can help you fight it. I'm certainly able to do that by pulling comparable sales for the last year and see if things have sold high enough to merit that evaluation. But I guarantee you the taxing authorities are going to be raising our taxes this year. It's just, our house, it's kind of like I've got good news, and bad news. Good news is your house price has gone up. Good news is you've got a lot of equity in your home, which is great. You know, the average person has about 56% equity in their home right now. That's a lot. It's a lot of money sitting there in a little kind of savings account, as it were, called equity in your home. But the bad news is the taxing authority knows that too. So that's a whole tangent I didn't expect to get on today, but that is something for us to consider. Going back to the migration of coming into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you know, I get it. I'm born and raised here. I love it here. I love the energy. I love the fact that there's all kinds of restaurants from one ethnicity to another that you can go to. There's all kinds of arts and music and art fairs and parks and lakes, and we're just a great place to live. You can be as active as you want to be, and you can be as sequestered and quiet as you want to be, which is so great. We have neighborhoods that are so walkable, and neighborhoods that are tucked away that you'd never even know were there if you didn't know about the city, which kind of brings us to the next point here, and that is, with this market being as hard as it is right now for a buyer, if there was ever a time in your life that you need an experienced realtor to help you, it's now. This is not something you should go at alone. And while I can appreciate that Susie just started in the business and you want to help her out, the reality is you need someone that is very knowledgeable about contracts, creative ways to write the contract, creative ways to help you be viable when there's multiple offers out there. Guys, it's not always price. Sometimes price, while it's very important to the seller, sometimes the fact that you have the time to give them while they go find another house is more important to them than the price was. So there's all kinds of ways to step up and be considered for the multiple offers that are out there on these houses. So hopefully that helps a little bit as far as the buyers are concerned. And sellers, I say the same thing to you. If your agent has never been a part of a multi-offer situation, then it would be helpful for you to have an agent that has. I mean, Lord knows, in the 31, almost 32 years now, I've seen from one extreme to the other as far as our markets are concerned, whether it was a buyer's market, whether it was a seller's market, whether it was a very even market. I've lived through all of them. The good news is, I guess the explanation is that back in 2008, 2010, that was an economic event. It was something out there caused the downfall that we saw. This is more becoming a situational event. The situation, like I said, baby boomers not moving, new construction being so far behind where they need to be. And right now the supply chain is so behind that even if the builders were to just really put everything they have into it, their hands are tied too right now, both in pricing, because they don't know what the price is going to be for some of this equipment they need, sheetrock, lumber, shingles for the roof, metal, copper, etc. It's taking twice as long to get it there. That's first of all. But then they don't even know what that final price is going to be. So right now, when you go to a new construction, for the most part, you get to go on a waiting list so that when the next lot becomes available that they're going to build on, you go into a drawing to see who's going to get it. It's not, again, it's not an easy thing to do. It's a wait list. And then you're waiting, 6-9 months before the house gets finished. So can you hang out someplace that long? There's just so many moving parts right now that are out of our control. And I think that's the hardest thing for all of us, is that sentence of out of our control. Do any of us like to be out of control? I don't think so. I can't think of really any of us that want to be in that position where we're beholden to someone else to make something happen, right? We have to, no matter, we give it our best effort, it won't matter right now. So I know that's a hard position to be in, but that is where we're finding ourselves in the market right now. But what I think is important that you understand the why, and that it's not a factor that really an outside source caused so much as internally we've kind of caused this ourselves, as far as not freeing up as much inventory for many, many different reasons. So, like I said, all you can do right now as a buyer is just be patient. Watch those interest rates because they're definitely going up. There are a few lenders, very few, that will allow you to lock in a rate while you look. And if you want some ideas about that, just contact me. I've put it in the chat box on how to reach me, but I can give you some suggestions of lenders to talk to that will allow you to do that, knowing that you're in the process of looking for a home. It's not like they're going to let you do that for forever, but it will buy you a little bit of time to lock in your rate now and then, and continue to shop for a home. So that's one solution. But you do need to keep an eye on those rates and what it's going to do to your buying power. And if in fact you want your payment to be here and stay here, then you'll need to know how much can you afford to buy and how much do you have to put down. So that's the other kind of equation of this, is how much money have you saved to put down on a house. So say you buy a $300,000 house and put down 10%, $30,000, right? So if that price goes up to $400,000, well, do you have $40,000 to continue to put 10% down? Or then is it a 5% down? Is that what it's going to have to change to? So like I said, a few moving parts there, and you need a really, really good lending partner in all of this. That's really as important as your realtor is your lending partner, because you want them to be knowledgeable. You want them to be able to explain this to you, to help you through it. Sometimes you're better served putting down less and saving more. Your money's making pretty good money right now if you have it invested in various places. And so maybe you're better off putting down less and keeping that money kind of tucked away. A lot of variables here. Again, a lot of moving parts. There's no one answer. There's no one size fits all when you're trying to buy a house. Everyone's looking for something different. Are you handy? Can you redo something? Are you good at painting? Are you handy? Can you do plumbing? Can you do electrical? I mean, those are some big questions. Or are you going to have to hire that out? In which case, what's that going to cost? So it's just a lot of questions. And if you have a really good realtor partner, they can help you through all that, or give you resources for people that can give you those answers. So again, everyone's looking for something a little bit different. And that's what makes this such a fun job, actually, is because it's just different all the time. Everyone's kind of looking for something different areas of Dallas. It's one of the things I love, is introducing people to neighborhoods you might have never known existed, because I've been here for forever. And so it's knowing those little pockets that are so special, whether you want to be close to jogging paths, whether you want to be close to the lake, whether you want to be close to the hospital because that's where you work. Many different reasons for different people. So that's our job as your realtor, is to figure that out. What's important to you? What's a drive time to work? If you're coming from some of our cities, LA, you think an hour is a joy. Here, we're like, an hour? I don't want to spend an hour driving to work. And so just learning kind of how we function here as opposed to how it functioned where you used to live. So if we can help you with that, I'd love to do that. You can reach us at info@dallasnative.com. We can always find you there and get your questions answered. I've put my email up on the chat box, and always here to help. And again, as you start to get those tax bills or evaluations, they're not bills, they're what the city thinks the valuation is going to be for your bill that will be coming out in October or November. Give me a call, see if I can help you. Sometimes I can, and in some of my clients, I'm like, I've got good news and bad news. Your house went up in value, and the bad news is your house went up in value, and that the taxing authority is very accurate. So let me know what I can do to help you with that as well. And if you have any other questions, just reach out to us. And thanks so much for listening today.